For our review today, we're going to take a look at the internal 4K recording on that A7R II versus the external recording, 4K recording on the Flame.
You won't believe what happens next.
Kind of interesting. It's November, time to be thankful. We're thankful that Syrup is going to give away a $1,266 setup here. The short track of the Genie and the ball head and the cable. All goes in a great bag. Go over to theslanted.com and sign up. Maybe you'll win and you'll be thankful. Hi, this is JP Morgan.
This is Kenneth Merrill.
It's time for another camera review. It's not really a camera review.
No, not really.
It's a comparison, and I've been very interested in this, a comparison of the internal 4K recording on the A7R II versus the external 4K recording on the Flame. I want to see how those compare to one another, and is it really necessary? Do you need a 4K external recorder when you're using the A7R II?
It's a big question for me, especially as we've been working together more lately and we're shooting on the external recorder all the time and I'm having to change batteries and the media. It's just like another added thing that you have to worry about on your shoots, so it's a great question. Is it worth it?
So we're going to take a look at that and see. So we shot the footage on both of these, the internal 4K and the external 4K on the Flame. And so let's take a look at it and see what we got.
So first of all, I wanted to show a clip of the internal and the external ungraded. Now this is in S-Log2 on the A7R II, base ISO of 800, and obviously a really, really flat image. This is the internal, as you can see.
But that's what you love, really, really flat image.
I do love it. It's more gradable. But as you can see out of the gate, the gamma is much more flat on the internal recording.
Much more so than what you go to on the Atomos. The Flame has a lot more contrast.
And the color has more saturation already. In grading this, so far for all these reviews, these comparisons, we've been grading almost everything by hand. And I tried doing that with this, and it was a struggle. I mean, you looked at the footage, and it was wildly different between the two.
Very different, yep.
And we're finding that the color, especially the way the Atomos records the color signal that's coming out of the A7R II,
it's got a lot more color depth.
It's got a lot more color depth, but it kind of accentuates the yellows and the oranges. And so trying to match the two was actually more difficult than I expected. So we decided to go the easier route and apply a LUT. We used Film Convert, which I've used in the past. I'm a big fan. I dialed back the curve on that since it's pretty aggressive. I didn't want it to be so contrasty. So I dialed it back to 75%. The film color was set at 100. And then I applied a second coloring layer with just Premiere's regular coloring tool. And I boosted the saturation to give it more of a video look.
More of a video look, huh?
Yeah. Just because all of our other reviews have kind of stuck to that Rec 709 punchy look. I kind of wanted to keep it that way.
Okay.
So moving on to that, we started a properly exposed image.
The A7R II looks fabulous.
It looks really great with the LUT.
Fabulous.
We should probably start using Film Convert more often for these.
I think so. I think that should be our standard here. So now there's the Flame. It's the color is much. It's not that different. I mean, it is different, but
it's a little bit different, but it's not as dramatic as it was before.
No, but a little warmer. Still a little more orange, tiny bit.
A little more orange, especially if you look at the yellow shirt, the yellow tank top to her right. In the internal, it's like banana colored, and the external recording, it's almost like a sunflowers are kind of yellow.
Yeah, it's a deeper yellow. It's not such a banana yellow.
If you look at her skin too, she has a little more orange in her skin, and I think part of that is the incandescent that's on her right shoulder.
But it should just be on her her right side, camera left side. You shouldn't see it on her highlight side.
Right. No, I think there's generally a warmer thing, but I think the camera eats up the warmer tones more. So especially on the incandescent side, like in the pink dress, you're going to see a lot more of that response to the orange.
So it's interesting because she looks like she's almost got, when you start to overexpose a little bit here.
I think it's pretty comparable.
Well, look at that. What are we at? Plus 5?
4.
Okay, I was looking at +4 and +5. The highlights are starting to go on the internal. Yeah, it's very similar.
It's very similar on the external. Again, though, this camera holds the highlights like crazy.
It really does.
I can't believe it.
That's 6 stops where it just finally falls completely apart. At 5 stops is pretty bad, but
yeah. I mean, if you had to salvage a shot at 5 stops, it might be doable.
Wow.
But 4 stops over is nothing to sneeze at.
So this is minus a stop now.
Now with these underexposure tests, we used a variable ND, just because that's the way that the aperture came.
Yeah.
We had to. It
Boy, look
kind of
at-
dragged down the shadows a little bit. The contrast is boosted with that variable ND. So there's a little more noise than I think you'd normally
At
expect.
-1 stop, it's really, the noise is bad already at -1. At -2, it's really terrible.
I will say that Sonys in general don't respond well to pushing. But again, you're seeing more color in the Atomos, but at the same time, the grain is finer on the internal.
It is much finer on the internal.
My guess is it's because there's noise reduction that's coming out of the internal, whereas the external signal doesn't apply
Probably
any
not
noise
getting
reduction.
that. Yeah, yeah. Boy, by -3 stops, it's just crazy. So now this is interesting. The S-Log, and just in that live action situation where you got the bright windows in the background, you got her with the apple up front,
Holding a lot of information, the
A lot of
highlights are
information.
held completely.
completely held.
Definitely more contrast again in the Atomos.
Yeah.
The highlights are blown out a little bit,
Yeah, you see it in the car on the left there. It's a little
and
bright.
her face is much darker.
Yeah, it's not holding it near as well. And this is just straight S-Log, but this is graded though, right?
This is not graded. This is
not graded.
ungraded
This is
S-Log.
ungraded S-Log. We almost get the difference that we saw back on the Canon, you know, the C300 versus the FS7. The C300 was not, it was a little more contrasty, it was not.
Now, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing because in the end, you're probably going to take those lower stops and pull them down anyways because it's mostly noise that you see in the internal. So I don't know that anyone should look at this and say, well, I'm definitely not recording on the Atomos because it's more contrasty.
No,
I
that
think
doesn't
in
make
the
any
end,
sense.
it's when you grade, by the time you grade it, you're going to come out about even.
Yeah, the information's there. There's no doubt about it. So where do we go next now?
We have an ISO test, and at the end I tacked on a couple shots for sharpness. All in all, this turns out to be kind of a boring test because they look pretty much identical.
Pretty much all the way through.
Now we shot this in picture profile 1 for the A7R2.
Which I like.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I love it.
If you don't want to do any color grading, this is a great profile to shoot in. It's probably the best that you'll see a Sony look in terms of skin tone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
Skin looks good. The colors are very, very vibrant.
It's interesting to see that you don't see the difference in color using this profile that you did
That's
shooting
interesting.
flat. To my eye, they look identical exactly. So that tells me that what's happening when you're color grading this external footage is that when you boost the saturation, is taking that kind of flat, low information color and it's boosting different parts of it, whether you're recording external or internal. Very difficult to explain, but the internal is recording the color in a slightly different way than the external does. So when
Yeah.
you boost the saturation on that or bring out the curve from like a log curve, then it's going to respond differently.
Well, I'm looking at this at 800. I mean, this really, it's still very clean with both these. And
Yeah.
that's native for the
Yeah.
A7R2. So
It's funny how, I mean, shooting on like the 5D, you almost get worried shooting past 800, honestly.
yeah.
But with
I do.
these new cameras, you can push them so hard. They're fine.
1600 looks just as clean as 8 almost. You're not seeing any dancing in the blacks on the dress.
That's one of the benefits. If you're going to shoot, I would say if you're going to shoot high ISO, you probably should shoot in a more video profile rather than
Then the
shooting in a log profile. If you shoot in a log profile and then you starve the sensor of light, you're really dialing back on the information you have in the image.
I'm starting to see it in that black dress now. At 6400, that black dress is
Yeah.
pretty alive there.
A little more noisy again on the external. Also, looks like a little less color, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
color's still pretty clean. I mean, obviously it's you know, the grain is starting to come alive, but the color is better than the external.
So now I wanted to pair up a couple shots at 100% punched in. So this is 4K shot punched into 2K, just to compare the sharpness. Now we shot at full frame. I know already a lot of people are going to be upset about that. We probably
Stop being
should've-
upset.
Probably should have shot at Super 35, but coming from a photography background, sometimes it's hard to change. If you look at these shots though, the internal 4K is actually much softer
Much softer.
than the external.
We didn't change the focus on
We didn't
this.
change anything.
Because the external is much sharper than the internal. Boy, I mean, drastically so.
My suspicion, this is speculation, but I wonder if that's because the camera is outputting a signal from the entire sensor and the recorder is actually doing the downsampling rather than pixel binning in the camera. I could be totally wrong.
I
Either
have
way,
no idea.
it looks sharper.
It looks sharper, no doubt about it. It looks sharper.
I mean, I forgot to mention, when I graded it, so we applied the film convert LUT, and then to achieve a more punchy video-y look, I applied a saturation boost, a little bit of a mess with the exposure and contrast, obviously, to compensate for the exposure adjustments. But I have to say, consistently, the internal had to be boosted in saturation by about twice as much, which means that you really are gathering more color with the external recorder.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense. You're doing the difference of, you know, what's the difference between the two of them?
8-bit and
versus
10-bit.
10-bit, yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to gather more color information. I mean, to me, there's some major advantages. I use this system setup all the time. Well, you know, we use it together all the time. And the reason is, first off, I always want a monitor anyway. I want something large to look at. This is a gorgeous monitor.
Well, and it's a 4K monitor too.
4K monitor.
Judging focus by the screen on the back of the A7 series cameras is just the worst.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, looking through the EVF is better.
It's fabulous, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're going to look at the little screen on the back, there's no way.
There's no way. The monitor on the Ninja Flame has waveforms, peaking, false color, zebras.
But we're not seeing earth-shattering advantages when it comes to picture quality, to dynamic range, or.
I mean, you can see the sharpness, the increase in sharpness. You can see. I think you can see the increase in color information, but can your client see it? That's the real question.
I don't know, that increase in sharpness is pretty stark to me.
Maybe. Well, I mean.
Well, it is to me.
I agree with you, but if you're downsampling to like 1080p anyways, it all depends on, I think it really depends on your deliverables and who your client is.
But I would walk away from this with the sense of, I can take an external from the Flame, 4K footage, and I can feel more comfortable punching in on that. We do that all the time because it's almost as if you've got now two cameras from that one camera setup. I can punch into a medium shot out to a wide shot, or vice versa. You know, it's just.
And looking at like this punched in, so this is a 2K image now.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, very sharp. You could definitely punch in all the way down.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one did definitely look a little bit soft. Maybe.
But now the advantages of the A7R II on its own with internal is you don't have this great big thing hanging on here. You can just run and gun with that thing, and you got a very small camera platform. You can get in. You can certainly look through the EVF, and you can focus through that. I mean, there are some. I'm looking at this thing thinking there are some real advantages to just using the internal 4K as well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and just in terms of, especially if you're shooting on your own. I mean, when we shoot together, we're changing batteries constantly on the Atomos. It eats those things for breakfast. So if you're shooting on your own, if you don't have a charging station, if you don't have someone that can run the batteries, run the media for you, if you don't have someone to be offloading, because one of those cards could take 30 minutes to offload if you have like a 500 gigabyte card. So it really adds more production to the whole process.
It does. So my question about this and is really a comparison in the amount of data you're storing versus the internal versus the external.
Right, because data is a big concern.
Oh, huge.
Drives, people say, oh, well, the cost of drives is coming down. You can get huge hard drives for very little money. But here's the thing. If you're storing your footage for years, like you or I are.
I store everything I've ever shot. Everything.
Then your 1 terabyte needs to be duplicated at least once. So you're looking at 2 or 3 terabytes of storage on different drives.
Yep.
And those drives have to be replaced between every 2-4 years, depending on your system.
Yep.
It's a lot of drives. The internal data rate on the A7R II in 4K is 100 megabits per second.
Okay.
The internal, or the data rate on the Atomos in ProRes HQ should be about 700 megabits per second. So you're talking about 7 times as much data for the same amount of footage.
Wow.
So the question you have to ask is the image quality worth the 7 times investment in terms of data?
That is really a good question, because what I'm seeing on here, but again, what I'm seeing on here, just out of the gate, the color is super good on the internal camera. So the color doesn't make there's not an argument there. It's really this punching in and the focus, the sharpness all of a sudden is what really is kind of making me feel like if you're going to punch in on things, you kind of have to do it.
But I am wondering if in Super 35, and there are tests out there that show Super 35 is sharper than full frame, I wonder if it'd be more comparable if you're shooting Super 35 on the internal 4K.
I'll bet it would be.
I bet it'd be pretty similar.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, 7 times more data.
It's a lot of data.
Keep that number in your head.
Yeah, it's a lot of data. All right, well, there's a look at those two in a comparison. I know it's a bit of a camera geek thing, but it's something I've really been curious about. You know, what's the advantage of having an external recorder like the Flame, or what's the advantage of just, you know, why not just shoot the 4K internally? So
I will say cameras are getting better and better all the time. 3 or 4 years ago, I think this would have been a lot more relevant.
Yeah.
When the data rates for internal recording were lower, 4K sampling really does make a difference. You just have that much more information to play with, so you don't have so much more array and banding. So external recorders, I think, are becoming less and less important, especially if you look at like the GH5 that's going to be shooting 10-bit internally here soon.
yeah.
But at the same time, given the situation we have now, I still think they're relevant, and it's a really nice monitor. So
I go back to that. It's a great monitor. You know, it's a great 4K monitor, you know, that for $1,200, you know, in that range, you're putting a great monitor and a great recording device on your computer or on your camera. So I think it's a great way to go.
So I think what it comes down to is what kind of work are you doing, and do you need the extra sharpness, do you need the extra color, or do you need it to be more compact? Really, that's how it comes down to with all these cameras.
Yeah,
what do you need it for?
Yeah, what do you need your setup to do, and how you can make it? I want everyone to know we are not sponsored by either of these companies at all. This is just our look at these two products and how we thought they worked and how we used them, and was really for me very much a curiosity question. I want to know, you know, how does this look compared to internally? So
Yeah.
So there you have it. So you know what, if you're desirous to buy any of these products, you can check out our affiliate links. You can help support us here on the Slanted Lens if you go to the B&H link or to Amazon, and you'll be able to pick up any of these kinds of things. If you'd like to support us in that way, it'd be fabulous.
Yeah,
So,
it's a huge help. And if you want to see more of these reviews, let us know what you want to see. What kind of cameras you want to compare, what things do you have questions about, and go ahead and tell us how you're using these products, or, you know, what did we miss? Because no review is complete.
and we know you're not shy about telling us what we missed, so tell us what we missed. So we have a great time doing this because it answers questions that we're thinking about, but we want to make sure we're answering questions that you're thinking about as well. So keep those cameras rolling.
Keep on clicking.
We're working on that.
I'm not an actor.
We've got a great download we're offering here at the Slanted Lens called Stop Motion Basics for Beginners. Trisha Zemp takes all the information she's learned on how to do stop motion, from how to shoot the stop motion to how to edit it and post it and put music to it on Instagram or YouTube. It's a fabulous journey where she'll teach you everything you need to know to be able to do stop motion. If you're interested in stop motion, this is going to teach you the process and what you need to do. So go to theslantedlens.com/stopmotion to get your copy today. So make sure you subscribe to the Slanted Lens.
We got a lot of reviews coming up, and you stills folks, you're not forgotten.
Nope, we got great still reviews coming up on different cameras. That's going to be part of our process here in the future, so make sure you subscribe. Don't miss out.
And join our Facebook group too. We
Yes.
want to hear what you think.
We do want to hear what you think, if you do think.